Hello, hello, and welcome to Saturday Sound Bites. I'm your host, Veronica. So excited to be here. Here on Saturday Sound Bites, we talk about all things visibility strategy. We talk about advertising, marketing, public relations, networking, all those important things that help us keep our brand alive and well so that our businesses can grow. And of course, I always bring you phenomenal guests that'll help you with strategies to make that happen. But before I bring my guest on, we're going to take care of some housekeeping. So if you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episodes of Saturday Soundbites. And if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, drop us some comments, and my guest and I will be sure to connect with you. So we'll go ahead and get started. I am going to bring up Valicia France. She's joining us today. Valicia, thank you so much for joining us on Saturday Soundbites.
Thank you so much for having me.
Very excited about today's conversation. As a copywriter, I'm sure you've got great tips and things for us to be thinking about as we're thinking about how to promote our businesses with our brand. But before we share some of those tips, let's learn a little bit about you and how you became a copywriter. How does someone become a copywriter?
So, just a little about me. I started my copywriting business in 2017, and it's crazy because I started after going through some Category 5 hurricanes. Right? I lived in the Virgin Islands. It completely wiped out my community. And I was doing two emergency response drops, right? I had an emergency role in the National Guard, and I also had an emergency role for the government. But as you can imagine, as a mom with little kids, no child care, how could I respond to work
Yeah.
and still do emergency response? So I decided I needed to look for a way to this using my best skill sets. And so it ended up being with copywriting. So I started my copywriting career doing some training with AWAI. So I'm a certified AWAI copywriter. Picked up some projects. I started on Upwork, picked up some projects,
Nice.
you know,
Nice.
figuring out, what type of projects I really wanted to focus on. And that led me to focus more on like website copy, sales page copy, and emails. So now I do a lot of uh, copywriting for coaches and consultants and service providers doing their website copy, sales page, and emails.
That's fantastic. I love it. I love how out of tragedy we get inspiration and we figure out a way to make it work, right? Because we have
Yes,
to get back up.
absolutely. Yes. And I love it because it's a way for me to feel like I have some type of freedom to be able to take care of my kids and take time off as needed to be a mom and be present. So it's definitely a good thing.
Yeah. And I'm sure that resonates with so many of our viewers and our listeners because a lot of us really were looking for alternatives so that we had that flexibility and freedom. So I'm so glad you shared that with us. So when we're thinking about branding, which is it's a big word and it means
Yeah.
different things to different people, but as an entrepreneur who is looking to brand their business, it's not just about the images and the graphics and the colors. Oftentimes it's the tone of the words that we're using. And so I'm really excited about you sharing with you some of the strategies that you use to make sure that your copywriting is on brand.
Right. I'm super excited about that too. And I learned the hard way actually about the importance of branding in a business. So I'm happy to share
Mhm.
these tips.
That's fantastic. So before you start sharing those tips, let's give some our audience something to ponder. What's the number one mistake that you see people making when it comes to their copywriting? And then we're going to tell them about the 6 steps that you have.
So I would say the number one mistake is not focusing on who your target audience is, who your ideal clients are. So because they don't do that, they end up, having website copy that only speaks about them, right? When you go to a website, you don't want to learn about necessarily just the business owner behind of it. You want to know what the business can do for you. So not
Right.
understanding your clients is a big, big mistake. Um, so just getting clarity on your ideal customer helps you with in so many areas, not just in the copy, but in the overall marketing of your business.
Yes, so true. Okay, so now we've got people thinking, and they're like, I wonder what my website, how that's perceived. So that's good. We've got people wondering. That's what we want them to do. But what are some tips that you've got for them? I know you've got 6 steps to flawless brand messaging. What are those 6 tips that you're going to share with us today?
So the 6 steps, it basically follows the hero's journey. So I don't know if you've heard about like Story Brand, but Story Brand has really done a great job marketing the importance of the hero's journey. So the 6 steps of that I'm going to go over is character, trying to figure
Mhm.
out what the character of your story, your brand message is going to be, the problem that you're going to be solving, the how to position yourself as the guide, the trusted authority in that story, the plan, providing a way of showing your customers that you know how to help them, and you outline exactly how you're going to do that, having a very clear call to actions, and then thinking about the results that you provide in two different important but very, very important ways.
Mhm. Yeah, and for those of us that have heard of the hero's journey, maybe back in college or in high school as we were writing,
Right.
but not paying attention to some of those courses that we should have been paying attention to.
Yeah.
How does that show up in the marketing today? So if I'm a coach and I'm really looking to grow my brand, and I go to you and I say, Valicia, I need some help with my website. Can you help me rework it? How do
Right.
you get people through that journey such that you can articulate it and then capture it?
So the key to the hero's journey is really putting your, again, your ideal customer, putting them in the center of the story. So the figuring out the problem that they're having, right? Why it's such a problem in their life, why it's such a pain on so many different levels, how you can show them that you can get them over that problem, over that hurdle, right? And then you, by guiding them and telling them exactly how you plan to do it, and then by telling them the results that they would have if they work with you, and what wouldn't happen in a negative way, but not negative, right? In a bad way,
Sure.
if they don't work with you to find a solution, right? And the reason it's so powerful is because people love stories. It's just like the human nature, right? We love hearing stories. So if you're able to present the problem and the solution you provide in a very intriguing way that positions your client in the center of the story, it really resonates and attracts people to your brand and converts them, gets them interested in investing in the services or products that you're providing.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. That really speaks to my marketing brain, the marketing side of my brain. It is certainly identifying those. What are some of the challenges that people have when they're looking to identify their target audience? And I ask that because before the pandemic, we were doing entrepreneurial online businesses completely different
Yeah,
than when
sure.
we were in the pandemic and now that we're coming out of it. What are some of those challenges that you see that shows up in the writing? As especially, I'm curious to get your take on that.
So not having clarity on the exact problem, right? And not phrasing, and even if you have clarity on the problem, not phrasing it in a way that your ideal customer is actually talking about the problem, right? So a lot of the times in marketing, right? If you're, especially if you're new, a new business or a business that has never really focused on doing it, the exact correct way, then you end up making up what your clients need to hear
Ah,
versus
yes.
getting the information directly from the horse's mouth. So that is the number one thing that we need to focus on, is let every part of our marketing needs to be driven from our ideal clients, what they're
Mhm,
suffering from, what their goals and desires are, right? And how they interpret their problem, the words they are using to describe it, the things they are doing or not able to do because they are facing that problem.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, that's on point, that's absolutely on point. So when we think about identifying our target audience and our ideal clients and we've identified some pain points, what is the one thing that people need to be focusing the most on when they're following the hero's journey? Because I think oftentimes we get so stopped by a formula that we
Right.
don't let ourselves be creative. So how do you reconcile that once you've hit the basics? Like, this is my target audience. I know that this is a problem I'm trying to solve. How do you let the creativity really um, germinate as you're adhering to a formula?
Right. So by I would say the first thing that you need to do is really understand why you are helping the type of people that you want to help, right?
Mm,
Why out of every single thing that you could have chosen to do in this world, right? Why did you choose your specific skill set? Like for me, why did I choose writing?
mhm,
Right? So for me, I love helping people find their words. I like people find their voice and their message because I see their eyes light up when they have clarity on what they want to say, right? And then how does that translate to business? Is that it makes them more confident and more empowered to market to attract their ideal client. So really focus on why did you pick the specific skill that you did in order to
Mhm.
help these people, right? And then focus on the transformation, right? So I know a lot of times people tend to focus on, needling the pain points, what they're suffering with, but focus on what it is that you are trying to get, what type of hurdle you're trying to get your audience over, but where do you want them to go? What is the
Mm.
big picture goal? What is the big transformation, right? It goes beyond just, wanting to make money. People they want freedom. They want more time with their families. They want to be less anxious and stressed all the time, every day, worrying about the bills, right?
Mhm.
So think about the deep change that your assistance can bring into someone's life, and then speak about that, because once you start to speak about what you feel passionate about and the changes that you can provide, then the words can start to flow easier.
Yes, yes, and I think that that's probably easy for someone to do when they've got someone helping them get the words out.
Yes.
So, describe what it's like to work with a copywriter for those entrepreneurs who are listening, who have always been, a do-it-yourself kind of operation or who don't have a team. What does it look like to actually work with a copywriter to help you get to all of those things?
So from my clients, from the horse's mouth, right? From the client's mouth, right? What they have said is that it saves them a lot of time, a lot of worry, and a lot of headache. I have people who have sat on their copy, like meaning they have not written a single word for up to a year. That's 12 months of time that they've
Wow.
spent, trying and write and rewrite their copy, never making it live. So how it is to work with a copywriter is that pass you're able to get key questions answered, right? And then pass along that information to someone who can create what you have in your mind a reality. So for
Yes.
example, most copywriters, everybody works differently, but most
Mhm.
copywriters I know provide like a questionnaire with key questions that you might never really think of asking, that is so important to creating the copy for your website. So filling out that information helps you find some of the words you need for your copy. Then there's the strategic part of it, where many people would then jump on a call and have a conversation to really identify the goals for the project. What do you want your website copy or your sales page or your any copy to do, right?
Mhm.
What is your
Mhm.
vision, but not only for now, what is your future vision? So we do a lot of future casting before even developing the copy. And then at the end of the day, after receiving the final deliverable, then they're really empowered to move forward to launch and promote, because you end up coming out walking away with more clarity in your words, what words you need to say, how to use that information to create different types of content, whether it's blog posts or your social media content. You get more clarity on how to speak to your ideal
Mhm.
client. So I think the biggest takeaway is usually, the time that they saved or the quota saved,
Right. Right.
and the clarity to really understand, okay, these are the words are inside you. Now you see them, now you know how to use them, so you feel more empowered to speak to your ideal clients.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think for those of you who haven't had the opportunity to work with a copywriter, I think it's a wonderful investment because, like Valicia said, it saves you time, but it also saves you emotional bandwidth because I think some people really struggle with, "This isn't perfect, it's not exactly what I wanted to
Right.
say, it's not quite in my voice," and even though they've worked on it so hard, they're just at a place where they need someone with a little more expertise to come in and just not clean up, but reframe the words just a little bit differently to
Right.
really resonate with the target audience.
Right, exactly. And then
Mhm.
the thing is, what I like to do personally is I like to have an educational component to it, so they understand how to at least create small packages of copy for themselves in the future. So it's like a copy 101 type of crash course.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. That's definitely value add. I love that so much. So, one last tip, Valicia, what do you think people need to be doing right now, today, to improve their copywriting?
Talk to your ideal clients. Talk to your ideal clients. If you're a business that have had tons of ideal clients, perfect. And I don't mean all clients. I mean the
Sure.
people that you love to work with, right? Only focus on those people, because those are the people you want to attract. So look at your testimonials. If you have case studies, look at your case studies. Look at any information, text messages, social media messages, email messages, any type of communication you've had with people that you love to work with, and see what they're saying about how you've helped them with a problem that they're struggled with, what they've been able to do, and how they feel, and the things they say after you've helped them solve the problem, right? So you can have a before and after picture of the transformation that you provide, and use their words to fill out your copy. Do not use what's in your
Yes.
head. Do not
Yes.
use the industry jargon. Use the words from your clients. And even if you don't have, say you're just starting out, you don't really have clients as yet, look at the people that you really want to work with, who would in your mind would be ideal, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And reach out to them, see if you can reach out to them, see if you can ask them to for some time to go over a few questions. Even if you do, I know some people do like a $5 Starbucks incentive, or
Sure.
a short copy audit, like you do a website audit, or if you're a coach, you can do a mini 30-minute coaching session, something like that, to
Mhm.
get your questions answered.
There you
Can
go.
you hear?
You're
Okay.
good.
Okay. So if you yeah, if you're a coach, you do personal development, or even better, bookkeeping. Let's do bookkeeping, a different one, right?
Sure, that's a good
So you
one.
you go on to Amazon and you look up a book about accounting and bookkeeping that for businesses. You go and
Mhm.
read reviews and you see what people struggled with before they read the book, what they got out of it, what they wished they would have gotten out of it, and that will give you some ideas as to what people are struggling with, how you can help them, and how they are talking about their problems.
Yeah.
So do your research. There's always a way. Even if you have a lot of clients, you definitely have ways to research. Even if you don't have and you're just starting out, there are ways to get information, the information you need to write the copy that would resonate with your audience.
Yeah. Oh, that's great advice. That's so good. Well, Valicia, it has been a pleasure having you on Saturday Sound Bites. Before we sign off, let our audience know how the best way is to get a hold of you, and tell us about some of the offerings you currently have for your clients.
Sure. So the best way to get in contact with me, you can reach out on my website at valiciafrance.com. You can also connect with me. I'm active a lot on Instagram, so you can do connect with me at instagram.com/V as in Valicia, B as in boy, France. And some of the offerings that I do have, I have a copy in a day offer, which helps you knock out your website, your sales page, or your emails copy in a day. So if you've been struggling
Nice.
with something for months or even a year, we can get it wrapped up for you in one day. I also do custom projects depending on the length. For example, I can't do a 10-page website in a day, so I would have to
Sure.
do like a
Sure.
custom project. I can also do a strategy call. So even if you need to jump on a 1 hour call to have a quick discussion about what you're struggling with and a way forward, we can do that as well. So there are several different ways that we can work together.
That's fantastic. Felicia, thank you so much for the great tips on copywriting. I know it's so important for our audience to learn and grow. And I just appreciate you sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, likewise. Thank you so much. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up our episode of Saturday Sound Bites. I want you to connect with Valicia France. Her contact information is going to definitely be in the show notes. If you have not had the opportunity of working with a copywriter, you really should give yourself that investment of time and energy, because it makes a world of difference. And if you're looking to learn and grow a little bit, make sure you check her out on Instagram too. So we're going to wrap up this episode. If you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episodes of Saturday Sound Bites. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, drop us some comments. And if you have any questions for Valicia, she and I will definitely be checking in to make sure we connect. So with that, I'm sending you off with lots of positive energy